This is the McLaren 750S, and when it first came out, the internet was awash with people saying that it was nothing more than a facelifted 720. But when I had a look at the spec sheet, I realised that there's quite a lot of 765 LT here. So let's go out for a road test and see which of those two cars it's actually like. Before we hit the road, let's quickly run through the key differences between the 750S and 720S. 30% of the components are new or changed, and the new car is both lighter and more powerful. It now weighs just 1,277 kilos dry and puts out 740 brake horsepower and 590 foot-pounds from its twin-turbo 4-litre V8. The performance is mind-bending, 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.8 seconds, and it gets to 124 miles an hour from rest in just 7.2 seconds, which puts it on par with the 765 LT. Some of the extra shove comes from the shorter final drive for the 7-speed twin-clutch gearbox, although this has restricted the top speed to only 205 miles an hour from 212. I'm sure we'll get over it. The linked hydraulic suspension now features bespoke accumulator tuning, new and lighter springs and dampers, and revised geometry. The electro-hydraulic steering has a faster steering ratio and a new power steering pump. There's a new centre exit exhaust for improved sound, updated bodywork to improve the aerodynamic balance, and you can option the Senna Hypercar's carbon brakes with monoblock calipers. This car though has the standard carbon ceramic items. The cabin is, shall we say, less new. You now get Apple CarPlay, which is a big win. McLaren has updated the driving mode selectors with the rocker switches from the Artura, and there's a new display for the instrument binnacle. Interior side, the changes are rather comprehensive, and as we're about to find out, they make a tangible difference. It goes without saying, what we have here is a huge amount of performance. 740 brake horsepower now in a car that weighs less than 1,400 kilos. That's crazy. In fact, let's see what that's like, shall we? Put everything up into track. How fast are these gear changes? The brakes work really well as well. Yeah, that is an astonishing amount of performance. Yes. Is that Ferrari 296 levels of fast? Not entirely sure. Maybe the Ferrari's got the top end a little bit, but I mean, that is eye-widening. That is a huge amount of performance. You have to be careful in this car actually, because you can get yourself into trouble very quickly in this thing. Another thing that I love, McLaren's, they always have fantastic gearboxes. We've got the 7-speed twin clutch here. And you heard then, it just rifles through gear changes. So we've had some rain today, and one thing I will say, in the dry, the Pirelli P0 Corsa, great grippy tyre, in damp conditions, less so, especially when you've got 740 brake horsepower going through the rear wheels. But this thing has so much torque. Like, you really don't need to be stressing the boundaries of the performance to make it go anywhere. This thing will just pull in any gear. And its gearbox as well, listen to that. The way it rips through the downshifts is just... And the nice thing about this engine, this 4-litre twin-turbo V8, it's quite a predictable engine, so you can feel the boost building, so you can sort of modulate what you do with the throttle. So in slightly damp conditions like this, you can kind of just lift off before the turbos spool up and things start getting a little bit spiky. And for a big turbocharged engine, this does pull quite well at the top end as well. And the nice thing is, because you can feel the road surface through the seat of your pants and the steering wheel, it doesn't really do anything unpredictable. It doesn't catch you out by surprise at all. You just have this really great sense of connection with which with what's going on underneath you. It's very confidence inspiring, this car. Even though, and I'll say it again, it's got 740 brake horsepower through the rear wheels. Like, it's just getting ridiculous now how fast these cars are. Sounds pretty good as well. McLarens have always sounded a bit industrial, I think is a nice way of putting it. Some work's been done here to make it sound a little bit better. Woo! Yeah, I think sounds better than a 720. I'd probably have to back-to-back them to give you a definitive answer on that. But yeah, I like it. I like it. When it comes to drivers' cars though, this will be no great surprise to you. McLaren is absolutely unmatched. This thing, across a country road like this, there isn't any other supercar out there that you can buy right now that does what this thing does. The way it decimates a B road is unbelievable. The turn-in is perfect. You can feel the road. There's a suppleness to the way that it deals with the lumps and the bumps. And when you find a straight bit, I mean, the performance is just outrageous. Zero body roll. The chassis on this thing is brilliant. I've not tried to turn the driver aids off and do anything silly with it. Really too much power for the public road to attempt that. But yeah, what a thing. McLaren have updated the steering in this car. Not that the 720S steering was ever bad in the first place, but no, they've just made it a little bit better. Still a hydraulic steering rack, so loads of feel and feedback through the wheel. You can place the car precisely where you want it to on the road. But now there's just a little bit more weight off centre. Yeah, I've said this before and I'll say it again, McLaren, best steering in the game by a country mile. So I want to talk about the ride quality in this car because the 720S was renowned for having almost a magic carpet ride. This does feel a little bit firmer. Now, McLaren have said that this car is 95% as usable as a 720S was. Now, how you judge 95%, I don't know. But generally, this feels just as usable as it did before, but maybe there's just this extra edge to the ride quality that wasn't there previously. I think in track mode, it's definitely more pronounced. In a 720, you could use track mode on the public road, whereas in this, you probably don't want to. It's a smooth surface only kind of driving mode. But other than that, I mean, this still has all the usability of a 720S, but just with that harder edge to it. So yeah, it's a perfectly good car. You could do long distances in this thing, no problem. One thing I would say, and this is something that McLarens have just suffered from generally, quite a lot of road noise comes through in the cabin. But look, we've got a sub 1400 kilo supercar here that's focused on handling dynamics and performance, so I'm not really bothered about the road noise. I think now's a good time to return to the question that I started with this video with, which is this 750S more 720S, 765LT, or somewhere in the middle? I'll be real with you, I think this is like 80-85% 765LT. It has the performance and the harder edge that the LT has, that 720S just didn't quite possess. 720S, still fabulous car by the way. That was a really good starting point for this particular generation of McLaren. And they've only just gone and made it better, really. So, yeah, absolutely. Everybody who was throwing shade at McLaren when they released the 750S, you can all go home now and stay quiet, because this is a cracking car and they've made a very, very, very incredible supercar even better than it was before.